this is nothing to play around with. Your life is nothing to take a gamble on. Your family depends on you, your farm depends on you, and you've got to make sure that you're doing everything you can do to keep yourself healthy and safe on your farm. Well, hey friends and neighbors, this is Chuck out at Sheraton Park Farms. Welcome back to the farm. So we spend a lot of time doing videos talking about how to take care of different life forms on our farm. We talk about how to take care of chickens, whether it's egg chickens or meat chickens. We talk about caring for pigs, sheep, gardens, and all that kind of stuff. All of it, different types of life. But today we want to talk about how to take care of the most important life on your farm, and that's the life of you and your family. We're in central North Carolina and it's the 1st of June. It's starting to get hot, summertime's coming. Past couple days, temperature's been in the upper 80s with 90+% humidity, and that heat index has been popping up around 95, 96 degrees. It's been hot. I mean, it's just been miserably hot. And with that heat comes the potential for different types of heat injuries. So we're going to talk about what those are today, the different signs and symptoms, how you can look for them, how you can treat them, and how to stay safe on your farm. This is important for you and your family, so stick with us and let's learn how we can take care of ourselves and everybody else that's around us. Hang out. So first off, let me start by saying that I don't talk a whole lot about my background, but I've been a paramedic for 27 years, graduated nursing school 20 years ago as well. And so I've got a lot of experience in emergency nursing and flight nursing and pre-hospital care. So I've got some experience in the medical world, but if you ever feel sick, you're ever unsure, please seek medical attention. Dial 911 or call your doctor's office. So the three things that we want to talk about today, the three primary heat injuries are heat cramps, heat exhaustion, and heat stroke. And we're going to talk about them in that order. First off, heat cramps are muscle cramps that you get because you've been out in the sun, you've been out in the high heat, humidity, it's really, really hot, you're sweating, you're losing a lot of fluids and electrolytes, potassium, calcium, magnesium, and you're shedding that off through the sweating process. And so what you can get is you can start to get cramps in some of your large muscle groups, abdominal muscles, leg muscles, arm muscles, and primarily you'll notice it in muscle groups that you've been overutilizing while you've been out in the heat and overexerting for a while. Heat cramps, fairly benign, but something you want to stop and pay attention to. Typically, you'll find heat cramps either while you're actually out doing the work or later on in the evening whenever you stop and start slowing down and you have dehydrated your body and you've lost a lot of water. The way that you treat that is you want to make sure that you stop what you're doing, get in a cool place, get in the shade, rest, drink plenty of fluids, whether it's water or a sports drink. Stay away from caffeine and alcohol. Both caffeine and alcohol have a natural diuretic component to them that cause you to urinate more frequently, and you'll lose additional water that way. And you don't want to be losing any more water than you have to. So heat cramps, fairly benign, but something you still want to pay attention to. Hey guys, what y'all doing? Huh? Y'all enjoying some kitchen scraps? So the next heat emergency or heat injury that we want to talk about is heat exhaustion. And heat exhaustion is quite a bit more serious than heat cramps. Heat exhaustion comes about whenever you're out in a really hot environment, a lot of humidity, and you're doing a lot of physical exertion and you're increasing your body temperature. Typically we see it with folks that are out doing fencing work, weed eating, working in a garden, a lot of physical exertion, putting up hay. Those are some typical times whenever we see folks start to develop a little bit of heat exhaustion. Heat exhaustion is typically characterized by a lot of fatigue. You're going to feel completely worn out. Heavy sweating. Your skin may be cool, moist. You may even start to develop some goosebumps here. Nausea, vomiting, dizziness, fatigue, potentially even having a blackout spell or passing out. So heat exhaustion is serious and you got to pay attention to it. So what do we need to do to treat that? First thing you got to do is you got to stop what you're doing. You can't be a hero. You're not going to power through. You got to stop what you're doing. You need to get into a cool environment. Get in some shade. Go inside. If you're near the truck, get in the truck, start the truck up, turn the air conditioner on. But you got to stop what you're doing. You got to get in a cool environment. You need to take some fluids. You need to take a sports drink or some water. Again, stay away from coffee and alcohol because they're natural diuretics. They're just going to make you pee and lose fluid even faster. If heat exhaustion is not treated and it's not reversed pretty quickly, it can become a very serious medical emergency and turn into heat stroke. If you don't see rapid improvement, you're not feeling a lot better real quick, then you need to go ahead and dial 911 or seek medical attention. Heat exhaustion is a very serious issue and you need to pay attention to it. What y'all rooting for? Eat my boot? So the last of the heat-related emergencies that we want to talk about is heat stroke. And heat stroke can be deadly. At the very least, it can cause damage to the brain, the heart, and the kidneys. Heat stroke, typically see that in folks that have been in a very high temperature environment, a lot of humidity, a lot of physical exertion for an extended period of time. Internal body temperatures are going to spike up. They may even reach as high as 104 degrees. So what are the signs and symptoms of heat stroke? What are you going to see? The individual is going to start to become lethargic or drowsy and act like they're sleepy or about to pass out, and in some cases they may even pass out. They're going to have a rapid rate of breathing where they're breathing really, really fast. If you check their pulse is going to be really, really fast and weak. They may develop some changes in their sweating pattern. Their skin may become dry and hot to the touch with no sweat at all. So heat stroke is a very serious condition. So what do you need to do? First thing you got to do is you got to get them out of that environment. You got to get them inside. You got to get them in a cool environment. Get them somewhere where there's some air conditioning, where there's some breeze blowing. You got to get their clothes off of them. This is no time for modesty. You've got to cool that person down in a hurry or they're going to suffer some permanent damage. Get their clothes off of them. Pack some ice packs under their armpits, in the groin, around the head. Put them in a cool or cold shower. It's really, really important that you start that cooling process. Also, you got to call 911 or you got to get to the emergency department. Again, this is a serious injury that could lead to death. Heat stroke is not something you want to fool around with. So know the signs and symptoms, be on the lookout for folks that you're working with, and be aware of yourself. You got to take care of yourself and you got to make sure that you don't suffer from heat stroke. So in typical southern summer fashion, we got a little pop-up shower and it kind of ran me in to finish the video. So last thing I want to talk about is what can you do to prevent heat cramps, heat exhaustion, and heat stroke if you're going to be working outside. And working outside in the elements is that's part of the job. If you're farming or homesteading, you're going to be outside, whether it's rain, shine, hot or cold, you got to be out there. So what can you do to avoid some of these heat-related injuries that we've talked about? Well, the first thing that you can do is you got to hydrate. You got to drink plenty of water, Gatorade, whatever your sports drink of choice is, but you got to stay hydrated. And that really starts the day before you're going to be outside working. So at night, whenever you're sitting in the house before you go to bed, drink a couple of bottles of water and get yourself good and hydrated for the next day. Avoid, I said this a couple times, I'm going to say it again, avoid alcohol and caffeine. Coffee, tea, they create an instinct in your body to where you're going to diurese or you're going to urinate more, and that's just going to shed off additional water. Alcohol is the same way. So avoid caffeine and avoid water. When you're out in the heat, you want to wear lightweight, light-colored, loose-fitting clothing. You don't want a lot of heavy clothing on to be trapping that heat. The one caveat I will say to that, if you're working around power equipment, you got to make sure that you don't have a lot of loose, floppy clothes to get caught up in a PTO or a saw or something like that. So lightweight, light-colored clothing. Take frequent breaks. You got to stop and rest. Again, you can't be a hero in this. You're not going to power through. When your body starts to overheat, no matter what your will is, your body is going to make you stop if you don't slow down yourself. So plenty of rest breaks. Get inside where it's cool. Drink some fluids. Take your hat off. Just let yourself rest and cool down. Pay attention if you are highly susceptible. Folks that are over 65, young kids, folks that are on certain medications, talk to your doctor about that. But if you're in a high risk category, you want to take extra precautions and just make sure that you're being really, really careful. If you're going to be out in the field working, pack a cooler with plenty of drinks, some ice, and put you some towels in there. Put some towels in there that you can get wet, that you can get nice and cool in that ice water so that you can put them around your neck whenever you're taking a break and help cool yourself off. And then finally, start slow. In the beginning of the season, when it starts to warm up, start slow. Ease yourself into it. It's going to take your body a little bit of time to get acclimated to that heat. Had a professor in college that called folks that had become acclimated to being in hot weather a better sweater. Thought that was interesting, but he used that term. So take some time and get acclimated to the heat, get used to the heat. Don't go out first day after being inside in an air-conditioned environment for 3 or 4 weeks and then run outside and think that you're going to spend all day in a 90 degree heat and you're going to get a lot of work done. Ease yourself into it, become acclimated to the environment. And finally, again, if you have any question or you're concerned or you're just not sure, don't be afraid to pick up the phone and call your doctor's office. Go to the emergency department, dial 911. This is a life and death issue. You've got to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. You've got to make sure you're taking care of yourself for your family and for your farm, because you've got a lot of stuff going on and you need to be there for them. Listen, we think it's important that you take care of yourself, and we want to help make sure that you do that. So again, just take care of yourself and stay cool. Listen, we've got a lot going on our farm. We're doing pigs, we're doing chickens, we've got garden stuff going on, we're using the tractor, we're clearing some land, lots of different things going on. I'm going to post a link to a couple of videos over here, some other stuff we got happening. That subscribe button is going to pop up right there in the center of the screen. If you've not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button, follow along with us. We got a lot of stuff going on, and we're going to be doing some more videos like this, and we really appreciate y'all watching. We'll talk to you on the next video. Thanks.